Welcome into HailState.com. I'm Bob Carskadon, and this is Mike Richey. Among other more important and fancy sounding titles, he's kind of the tickets guy. Is that fair to say? Well, Mike, a couple things we want to talk about. Facilities obviously going on with Mississippi State with Davis Wade, renovation and expansion. A lot is going to change this year, and then obviously tickets as well. I want to talk about a few things if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's start with this. Just in generalities, I know, we'll have a lot more specifics on HailState.com here in a couple of weeks. We've got a whole week planned of letting you know parking, tickets, everything you can imagine that you know for the season, especially things that are going to change. We'll have the specifics of it. But before we get to what section becomes what, who parks in what parking area, just generally speaking, what's going to change with the expansion and renovation happening?
Well, most of what's going to change this year is going to be a temporary one-year change, and it's going to have to do with construction laydown areas that are going to be restricted to the public. That's going to take up some areas where we would normally have reserved parking. Mm-hmm. It's going to close down some areas where we would normally have gates to enter and exit the stadium. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to have to change around some of the ways that you get into the stadium. We're going to have to change some of the traffic patterns. We're still working on identifying the exact areas where we're going to have these changes, and like you said, in the next couple of weeks on HailState.com, we'll have that information up there for everybody to check out. But for the most part, it's a temporary change just for this one season to get us through the construction.
So some of the parking, my understanding was, I guess some of the people, you may be in a new parking lot or parking area this year as you have been in the past.
Right. What's going to happen in some of those lots is where we have normally been able to assign X number of spaces, then we may not be able to use as many spaces because of construction zones. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of dominoed down as we've had to move people who have normally been in one lot to another lot, and then that's affected everybody, and it's kind of trickled down through some of the other lots. So it's going to displace some people, but again, just a temporary one year deal for this season. If we can get through these 7 games, then I think everything's going to work out right.
Sort of a make it through this so we can have a pretty new stadium type deal.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, but pardon our progress. That's kind of what we're going through right now. It's well worth what's going to happen in Davis Wade Stadium, and I think when people show up for that first game and they see what's happened on the west side and they see what's going on in the north end zone, they're going to understand how important this is to the history of our athletic program and the history of Mississippi State, and I think it's going to be well worth whatever little inconveniences take place.
Yeah, I'm thinking the first time you walk into the new west side bathroom, you're like, you know what, worth it.
No question about it. If when you get a chance to see just the concourse, just walking into the concourse and looking around without even seeing the actual stadium, underneath the west side, it's going to be like a brand new stadium.
Now, I sat in on a little bit of a meeting you guys had, people much more important than I won't stay the whole time. But the general idea I get, as you're starting to look ahead to football season and football games, just a few weeks away now, get there early is kind of the theme. As you said, a couple of the entrances, don't know how many or which ones necessarily at this point, but not all the entrances are going to be open. So it very much is a situation where you could get some long lines. Get in the stadium early if you can. And same with parking. Get on campus early if you can. Is that kind of the...
Absolutely. Get on campus early, but really a lot of people like to come early anyway, and so just make a day of it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy what's happening on campus. A lot of people don't come back to campus except for those 7 weekends. So enjoy what's happening on campus. Enjoy being at Mississippi State, and everything's going to work out fine, but just know that we understand that there are going to be some inconveniences this year, and we're studying the ways to work around that and make it more effective for everybody.
Could tailgating change at all? No, I'm just thinking of that off the top of my head.
No, not really. I mean, the university has made some changes in terms of the commercial tailgate policies and the folks who rent tents, and I think that's been publicized already. But insofar as when people can come to campus and when they can tailgate, that's not going to change at all.
Cool. One thing I've been talking a little bit about on Twitter, MSU announced yesterday sold out of season tickets and also is still selling tickets. Mm-hmm. I think some people are curious
how that works.
How that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Each individual opponent who visits the stadium has a certain allotment of tickets, and the numbers are different for each opponent. And so we can be sold out with seats that are available for all 7 games, but then we can have pockets of seats that are available for certain games. And in the case of the mini pack that we put together, we have some seats that are available for LSU and Alcorn and Kentucky, and so those are seats that we could sell just for those specific games in a pack together. And then we're going to have individual game tickets that are available for some of the other games. And so the way that number comes about is you take the number of season tickets that you have sold, the tickets that you have allotted to visitors. We have to allot tickets for recruits. We have to allot tickets for player families, and that all those numbers kind of come together to formulate what we would announce on a game day as our total attendance for that game. So it's a little difficult to explain sometimes, but it does have to do mostly with the visitors' tickets allotment and the fact that for each of our 7 opponents, we're going to have a different total number of tickets out to those visitors.
So the 43,000 number is basically the max, where at every game you have that many, and so then some of the others you have a little bit more, and that's where the
Correct. And last year, this is a great example of how we kind of have to work those numbers to maximize what we can sell. Last year, since we didn't have Alabama, Ole Miss, or LSU coming here, we had some seats that we knew we could sell as season tickets last year that we would not be able to sell this year. Mm-hmm. So last year, we sold about 800 non-renewable season tickets. So we had folks who came in and bought the full season package knowing that they were not going to be able to get it back again this year.
Yeah.
And so our total number of season tickets sold is actually going to be slightly lower this year than it was last year. And that's where that number comes from, is us. And that's the folks in our ticket office doing a really good job of identifying places where we can maximize our revenue by finding inventory that we can sell, whether we sell it on a one-year basis or on an individual game basis, just trying to find as much inventory as we can possibly sell.
Well, I know we're talking a lot about what's happening on campus, but off campus, obviously the first game is at Oklahoma State. How do you go about getting tickets for that? Well, what do you recommend doing?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Oh, good.
And we didn't plan that at all. This is in some ways like a bowl game because it is a neutral site game, and we have an allotment of tickets to sell. It's different from a bowl game in that the allotment that we have to sell is the best tickets that's available in that stadium. So
Good.
we have, and Oklahoma State has, tickets all on the sidelines. Whereas typically for a bowl game, you might start on the 30-yard line and work away into the end zone. We actually have sideline seats. We have club level seats. We have very good seats for this game that are available. Better to get them from us than to get them from another source.
Yes. And you know you're sitting with MSU people too.
Right, and you know you're sitting with MSU people. We've sold over 5,000 tickets to that game, and we have a huge alumni base along that I-10 corridor. So we know we're going to have a lot of folks there, and we know there are still a lot of people who haven't purchased their tickets yet. But if you haven't, and you need them, the best place to get them is from Mississippi State.
Right. Well, cool. Mike Richey, I'm off the top of my head. Did I miss anything that you want to hit?
I don't think so.
We're good. Like we said, I think the week of August 12th, if I got the date right, that whole week on hailstate.com will have a lot of stuff that'll help you with some of the specifics, if I can speak English here. Will help you with the specifics of the generalities that we talked about. So again, Mike, I appreciate it, and thank y'all for hanging out with us.
Thank you.